Flat Social Security benefits for everyone. I have all the details and what you need to know right here in the video, so let's get right into it. All right, yet again, another proposed change to Social Security is being introduced, and that's what I want to talk about here in this video, because this is actually a pretty interesting one, and it would mostly benefit the lower income beneficiaries. Therefore, let's get into it and talk about what they're now suggesting. However, really fast before we do, thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here, or if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe by hitting the button right down below the video, as it's totally free to do so, and because I am your one and only daily advocate, I'm here for you right by your side each and every day, watching all this new information hitting the wire, doing the research and breaking it all down into these short videos so you can stay posted on what's actually going on right now, as things are changing very rapidly. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Please subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and also remember, I am here for you in any way that I can be. That's my dedication, that's my commitment, and as always, that is my promise to you and everybody right here in the community. All right, thanks again. Let's get into it and talk about what's going on and the new proposed changes to flatten out Social Security benefits and what this would actually mean for Social Security beneficiaries. All right, so yes, this is yet again another idea that they are playing around with to change Social Security, because we all know the issues that are in the Social Security program right now, as in the financial issues and of course the insolvency that we've talked about so many times previously. However, this is another good one that they're coming up with, and again, this would mostly impact and mostly benefit the lower income beneficiaries. So when we look at all the different proposals that they are talking about to change Social Security, honestly, this one may not be the worst one in the world, unless somebody is a higher income beneficiary. Then they probably wouldn't really like this one. But if you're somebody who is a lower income beneficiary, you might really like this one. Now let me talk about all the details about this. So obviously there's a lot of moving parts about this one, and it would take many years for this to play out. However, let me give you just the plain old kind of the clear-cut approach that they want to take on this as far as flattening out Social Security benefits. So as you probably recognize, virtually all beneficiaries get a different benefit amount. Now, obviously, based on the number of beneficiaries that are out there, millions upon millions of beneficiaries, obviously some people get the same amount, but for the most part, everybody gets kind of a different dollar amount. Somebody could get $500 a month. Somebody else could get $1,200 a month. Somebody else could get $2,000 a month. Somebody else could get $3,500 a month. Somebody else could get $4,000 a month, and everywhere in between, and of course even more than that. Well, here's what it really comes down to. Because we know that there's this major discrepancy between fixed income beneficiaries, right? Like I just said, some beneficiaries are getting a few $100s a month. Some are getting several $1,000s a month. Well, they're looking at the situation thinking, does this really make a whole lot of sense? Is this really a fair program? Well, again, I'm not going to insert my opinions here because honestly, it doesn't really matter, and I don't really have any opinions on it, other than they've got to come up with some ideas here. They got to figure something out, because a lot of people are struggling right now, and this is probably not a good solution, right? So here is the plan behind the plan. Here's what they're talking about. Over long periods of time, basically what they would do is they want to flatten out benefits. So basically what this would look like is taking the highest income beneficiaries who are getting the highest benefits and start shaving their benefits down a little bit at a time. For example, maybe it would be a few percentage points or something like this. However they would decide to do this, it would probably be a percentage basis. But basically what they do is they start shaving down the monthly benefits of the highest income beneficiaries every single year, right? So maybe for the highest income beneficiaries, rather than getting, say, a 5% COLA increase, maybe they get a 5% decrease to their monthly benefit, right? So, and then what they do is they take this extra benefit that they're shaving off the top and they're adding it on to the lower income beneficiaries. So basically what they're doing is over long periods of time, they would shave those benefits down for the higher income beneficiaries, and they'd essentially take that money and push it back to the lower income beneficiaries, and then ultimately raising up the lower income beneficiaries, bringing down the higher income beneficiaries, and eventually over long periods of time, as in many years this would take place, eventually they would arrive at what they call equilibrium. In other words, right in the middle, right? So it's kind of like a mountain range. Picture a mountain range, for example, right? You got the tall peaks way up in the sky with big, snow on them or whatever, mountains, you know what I'm talking about, mountains. And then you see the other side where there's the trough way down in the valley, right? Well, imagine this, and then draw a horizontal line right through the middle, right? Exactly through the middle of the mountain range horizontally. Well, basically what it would look like is the highest income beneficiaries way up at the top that are, way up in the sky, at the, up in the snow, those people, those would be brought down. Slowly and slowly, they would be brought down the mountain. Meanwhile, the beneficiaries down at the bottom in the valley, enjoying the sunshine and enjoying the heat and everything like this, avoiding the snow, right? Anyway, these individuals would be brought up the mountain, right? Eventually, the higher income beneficiaries coming down the mountain and the lower income beneficiaries coming up the mountain eventually will meet at that horizontal line right through the middle, which is equilibrium. Kind of get what I'm saying here? You like that analogy? I thought it was pretty good too, right? Anyway, I thought about that one on the fly. So my point is, this is what they're now talking about. So what the whole idea behind this would be essentially to be bringing essentially equality into the Social Security program. Now remember, Social Security benefits are based on over years and years of work history, incomes, how much has been paid in through Social Security taxes over many years of work history, things like this. So that's basically what it's coming down to. But what they're finding with these programs and what they're finding with Social Security is that there's a lot of people that are getting a very small benefit, and there's a lot of people that are getting a very high benefit. And what they also found too is that they ran some studies on this, and they found that higher income beneficiaries generally have a lot of other money coming in too. Maybe they have annuities, maybe they have investments through the stock market, maybe they have bonds, maybe they have a pension, maybe they have all kinds of those other things. But what they found is that generally these higher income beneficiaries also have other sources of income, and they don't necessarily primarily rely on their Social Security benefit. They also found that the lower income beneficiaries generally probably don't have a pension, probably don't have annuities or bonds or stock market investments or, IRAs or 401ks or things like this. And they found that the lower income beneficiaries generally rely on the vast majority of their monthly benefit for virtually all of their income. Meanwhile, they found that the higher income beneficiaries don't really rely on the vast majority of their monthly income from their Social Security benefit. And they also found from the studies that the higher income beneficiaries generally would be kind of happy to say, fine, take some of my benefit, no problem at all. Start shaving it down, whatever you got to do, just do it. They actually found that the higher income beneficiaries are actually, wouldn't really have that big of an issue with benefits being shaved down a little bit over time. They found that these higher income beneficiaries would be fine with this. They thought that if this is what it would take, as in these are the words out of the higher income beneficiaries, if this is what it would take to maintain solvency and longevity of the program, then fine. Go ahead, do it, no problem at all. So they found that this would not be a problem at all. So they kind of found that maybe this could be a solution to help out with these programs and make sure that the lower income beneficiaries are actually brought up, and the people that are getting $4,000 plus a month, well, maybe they really don't need that much a month, right? Now, don't get me wrong, $4,000, more than $4,000 a month would certainly be really nice as a Social Security benefit. Could you imagine just every single month $4,000 plopped right into your account? Whew, it'd be pretty nice for a lot of people, right? That'd be pretty nice stuff. So anyway, this is something they're talking about. However, this would not necessarily address the insolvency issue that we're dealing with. This would just be a different type of the program, another adjustment to the program to essentially make sure that these benefits are kind of more equal across the board for the beneficiaries is basically what it comes down to. The whole idea about this is not necessarily to bring down the higher income beneficiaries, but rather to bring up the lower income beneficiaries. And they thought, well, what can we do here? Raising taxes? Well, that's not really a good solution. What can we do about this? And they thought, well, what if we just turn to the higher income beneficiaries? Can we maybe shave them down a little bit and just transfer that money right into the accounts of the low income? Well, that's what they found would be a good solution. So it's literally not necessarily raising taxes. It's not fixing the insolvency issue, but rather it's more fixing the inequality issue is basically what they're talking about in this. So that's what it comes down to. Anyway, kind of an interesting concept. At the end of the day, not so bad, especially if the higher income beneficiaries wouldn't really have a problem with it. Now, here's the thing. Obviously, not every higher income beneficiary is going to be game for this, right? But at the end of the day, if the consensus is, fine, take 5% of my benefit every year, whatever it happens to be, whatever they decided on. Now, again, maybe it's 1%, maybe it's 3%, maybe it's 5, maybe it's 7, maybe it's 10. I'm not really sure what it would be. Highly doubt it would be 10%. It'd probably be somewhere around the 2 to maybe 3% range each and every year. It'd be a little bit, but at the end of the day, it wouldn't be so much that it really stings, but at the end of the day, it'd be like a little bit that just starts transferring over and over each and every year, right? So it's not like it'd be so much that it's like, oh, ouch, that one really hurts and that's going to really impact my retirement, but rather like, I guess I didn't really notice it, right? Especially if somebody's receiving over that $4,000 threshold, are they really going to notice, say, $120, $150 a month? I mean, maybe they would, but for the most part, probably not really. You know what I mean? So anyway, this is kind of one of the things that they're talking about. I want to bring it to your attention as this is just another idea floating around out there to change up Social Security and again, kind of reform the program a little bit. So anyway, a lot of interesting concepts being thrown around out there, a lot of different interesting ideas, things like that. But this one at the end of the day probably isn't like the worst thing in the world, right? Anyway, thought you find this one to be interesting. Do me a huge favor, make sure to share this video with your friends, family, social media, right down below the video next to the subscribe button, which by the way, if you haven't pushed that one yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any videos going forward. Also share this video with your friends, family, social media, so they can also stay tuned with what is actually going on right now as things are changing rapidly. We're getting a lot of new information hitting the wire all the time. And of course, I'm bringing it to you right away so you can stay tuned with what is actually going on and how it may impact your monthly benefit. Also, feel free to go back and check out any of the other thousands upon thousands of videos here on the channel. Until next time, enjoy your day, and I'll catch you again later in the next video.